We are also joined in the dais by Sri Puneet Agarwal, Additional Secretary, who looks after Indian Ocean region in the Ministry of External Affairs. With that, I invite Foreign Secretary, sir, to give his opening remarks. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Randhir. Good evening to all of you. Thank you for joining this briefing on the ongoing state visit of the President of Sri Lanka, His Excellency Anura Kumara Dissanayake. You would have followed the media statements that were delivered earlier today by the President and the Prime Minister. Following the discussions this morning, the two sides have adopted an India-Sri Lanka joint statement titled Fostering Partnerships for a Shared Future. I believe it has been released, so it's available in the public domain, and you may like to go through it. Allow me to take you through some of the main elements and takeaways from this visit. The President of Sri Lanka, His Excellency Anura Kumara Dissanayake, is in India on a state visit. It's a 3-day visit. It began yesterday when he arrived here in the evening. He's accompanied by Foreign Minister Vijitha Herath and the Deputy Minister for Economic Development, Anil Jayanta Fernando. Yesterday, on arrival, shortly after he arrived in New Delhi, the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, called on the President. Subsequently, the National Security Advisor, Shri Ajit Doval, and Finance Minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, also called on the President. This morning, the official engagements began with a ceremonial welcome in the forecourt of Rashtrapati Bhavan by the Honorable President and the Prime Minister. Subsequently, the President went to Rajghat to pay homage to Mahatma Gandhi. And this was followed by the talks in Hyderabad House between the President and Prime Minister. There were a session of restricted talks and then delegation level talks. The Prime Minister also hosted a banquet lunch in honor of the President. Just a short while ago, the Vice President called on the President, and as we speak, there is a business meeting going on. The President Dissanayake is interacting with Indian CEOs in the sectors of IT, startup ecosystem, renewable energy, agriculture, textiles, etc. This evening, the President Dissanayake will meet with Honorable President at Rashtrapati Bhavan, and the Honorable President will also host a banquet dinner in honor of the President. Tomorrow, President Dissanayake is going on a brief visit to Bodh Gaya, and he will return to Sri Lanka later in the evening tomorrow. You would be aware that this is President Dissanayake's first bilateral visit in this capacity after assuming the presidency. And the fact that he has chosen India to be his first foreign destination after assuming office as president in itself demonstrates the importance that Sri Lanka attaches to the bilateral relationship with India. As you all know, Sri Lanka is also India's closest maritime neighbor and has been an integral part of India's neighborhood first policy and India's vision sagar. The two countries are civilizational partners with a unique friendship, and India has time and again demonstrated that it is a dependable partner and a reliable friend for Sri Lanka. Whether it is disasters, mishaps at sea, the COVID pandemic, or indeed the very serious economic crisis that confronted Sri Lanka just a couple of years ago, India has been present in the role of a first responder. Our support has been timely, swift, and most importantly, unconditional, underlining our position as a responsible and friendly neighbor of Sri Lanka. President Dissanayake, in fact, acknowledged the same during the discussions today with the Prime Minister, and thanked Prime Minister for India's support, especially the crucial assistance in the form of nearly $4 billion in various kinds of aid in 2022 and 2023, which helped stabilize the Sri Lankan economy at a critical juncture. India remains involved in this financial stabilization effort for Sri Lanka through its engagement with the IMF, which is undertaking a program for Sri Lanka following the debt restructuring that has been agreed. You're probably also aware that India is the co-chair of the Official Creditors Committee, and in that role also continues to play an important role in assisting Sri Lanka through this challenging phase. In recent years, India has also been Sri Lanka's largest trade partner. We are Sri Lanka's largest source of tourists. We also happen to be Sri Lanka's largest source of investment. Sri Lanka is also one of the largest beneficiaries of our developmental cooperation program and the recipient of several capacity building initiatives. The two countries, close as they are also pursuing various connectivity measures. We have enhanced our air and maritime connectivity, and we are now working on several projects related to energy connectivity through, for instance, plans for intergrid connectivity, a multi-product petroleum pipeline between the two countries, supply of LNG, and the under preparation Sampur power project. In addition, there is digital connectivity, and this has taken a significant step forward through the introduction of UPI services in Sri Lanka. The current visit aims to expand this very robust partnership and take its frontiers even further. President Dissanayake thanked India for its instrumental role in finalizing the debt restructuring, as I said earlier, and the provision of grant assistance to undertake development projects in Sri Lanka. In particular, he thanked India for its decision to extend $20.66 million as grant assistance to settle the payments related to 7 completed line of credit projects in Sri Lanka. These were projects that were pursued under a loan agreement, but in view of the ongoing situation, it was decided by India to convert the repayments due under this line of credit into a grant. Similarly, there is another grant assistance project that has been announced of $61.5 million towards the rehabilitation of Kanken port in the northern province. This is also something that was to be executed through a line of credit, but will now be executed through a grant. Prime Minister affirmed our continued commitment to support Sri Lanka in its economic stabilization efforts for its economic recovery and economic growth. And he further assured President Dissanayake that India's approach would be investment-based and grant-oriented to reduce the debt burden on Sri Lanka and to assist them in generating economic opportunities that are long-term and sustainable and will eventually contribute to growing the absolute size of the Sri Lankan economy. As I mentioned, both leaders have also adopted an India-Sri Lanka joint statement fostering partnerships for a shared future, providing a framework to strengthen the comprehensive bilateral partnership across several sectors. And these sectors include parliamentary exchanges, development cooperation, debt restructuring, energy cooperation, trade and investment cooperation, strategic and defense engagement, issues related to fishermen, among others. The joint statement will provide guidance for the relationship that is future-oriented and at the same time people-centric. The document also aims to bring together the several ways in which India can support Sri Lanka's economic recovery and have the partnership deliver prosperity for people in both countries. Let me also quickly mention some of the major announcements and initiatives that have been finalized during the visit. We have announced grant assistance of US $14.9 million to undertake signaling system in the Maho Anuradhapura segment of Sri Lankan Railways, thereby furthering deepening our cooperation on the infrastructure related front. In addition to the already extensive scholarship programs that we offer in Sri Lanka, we have announced a comprehensive scholarship program for 100 students each from economically disadvantaged sections to the University of Jaffna and to the Eastern University. The scholarship is intended to take care of the needs of the students for the entire duration of their studies. Similarly, today an MOU was exchanged to train 1,500 Sri Lankan civil service officers over a period of 5 years. This is an MOU that has been signed between the National Center for Good Governance in India and the Sri Lankan Institute for Development Administration. In line with the Sri Lankan government's emphasis on transforming governance through digitization, something that President Dissanayake expressed very keen interest in, and something that he's committed to, in a sense, taking forward in Sri Lanka, learning from India's own achievements and experiences in this regard. Both leaders agreed to expedite the implementation of the India-funded grant project of Sri Lanka Unique Digital Identity that will support Sri Lanka in setting up its own foundational digital ID program and platform, much like India's Aadhaar. I mentioned earlier that we have already launched UPI in Sri Lanka for the use of Indian tourists since February 2024, and it was recognized on both sides that this would also provide a major fillip to increasing tourism from India in Sri Lanka. Today, another MOU that was exchanged was on a protocol to amend the double taxation avoidance agreement in order to bring the DTA in line with international standards on prevention of tax treaty abuse. You're aware that the issue of fishermen is a particularly important one for both countries. The leaders had extensive discussions on this issue and agreed that issues related to fishermen must be dealt with through a humane and humanitarian perspective. These are issues related to livelihood, and it was agreed that the use of force must be avoided under all circumstances. The two leaders also had a detailed conversation on promoting reconciliation in Sri Lanka. Prime Minister urged President Dissanayake for a full and effective implementation of the Sri Lankan Constitution, for meaningful devolution, and for holding provincial council elections at the earliest. The engagements and the conversations today between the leaders have further deepened mutual understanding of each other's interests, sensitivities, and concerns, adding to the mutual trust and goodwill at the political level. I would say that the engagement and the outcomes during this visit have provided new momentum to our ongoing cooperation, and in the coming coming months and years, we look forward to practically translating these into concrete actions for the benefit of the relationship. Let me also add that President Dissanayake, while expressing his gratitude for the warm welcome and the hospitality that he had received here, extended an invitation to Prime Minister to visit Sri Lanka. The Prime Minister accepted the invitation. It is understood that the dates for such a visit will be worked out through diplomatic channels. Let me stop there, and I'll try and answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Can we go here? Rishabh?
Good evening, Foreign Secretary. Rishabh from Times Now. Sir, were there any discussions where Sri Lanka asked India to help them restructure the debt they're already in from international bodies or other third parties? Has there been any discussion where India can play a role in helping Sri Lanka to restructure, get the loans restructured?
Keshav?
Thank you. Good evening, Foreign Secretary. This is Keshav Padmanabhan from the Print. I just wanted to follow up whether there was any discussions on berthing of research vessels at Sri Lankan ports, and whether the Sri Lankan government has extended its moratorium that it had for 2024 by another year. Is there any sense of this? Thank you.
Sahil?
Sir, I'm Sahil from MEA. Was there any discussion of the regional and the international issues?
Okay. Siddhant?
So my first question is, were there any conversations on the Ramayana Trail and the land bridge? My second question is, were there any conversation on the Adani investments in the western terminal of the Colombo port, given that there have been certain controversy when it comes to the Adani's investments?
Okay.
Smita Sharma, just to follow up on Siddhant's question, because there have been reports suggesting that the government is reconsidering the approval to the Adani power project, the wind power project, and is an Adani representative a part of the CEO's forum or the business forum, the meetings that President Dissanayake is having? And if you could just explain, elaborate on the project with UAE that has been envisioned in terms of the multi-product pipeline, please.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, with regard to this question about help for restructuring, as you are aware, India is the co-chair of the Official Creditors Committee and has been playing an important role in ensuring that the arrangements that are arrived at for restructuring the debt are equitable arrangements that meet the needs of all parties concerned. In fact, the Sri Lankan president thanked India for the help that we have already extended. As you are aware, there are negotiations that are currently going on between Sri Lanka and the international sovereign bond holders, who actually hold a considerable portion of the Sri Lankan debt. And there too, India is playing a constructive role, a role that the Sri Lankan government has appreciated. We expect that we will remain in close touch with Sri Lanka on these issues. The IMF program is underway. We, as the Prime Minister said on several occasions to President Dissanayake today, India is interested in seeing Sri Lanka succeed. A very important part of that success is going to be for Sri Lanka to come out of this current phase where it is addressing these debt-related issues and to get into the territory of significant economic growth. We will remain engaged with Sri Lanka on these issues. With regard to the issue related to the berthing of research vessels, etc. Our understanding is that the Sri Lankan government is looking at this issue. There are a number of considerations that they need to take into account. We did highlight from our perspective the role that India could play in a number of activities related to maritime security, maritime research, etc. And as I mentioned in my earlier remarks as well, we pointed to the importance and the sensitivity of our security interests in this area. And President Dissanayake was very upfront in saying that he would ensure that nothing was done by using Sri Lankan territory that might impact India's security. So we will continue to engage with the government of Sri Lanka on all these issues, and we are confident that issues of importance such as these will continue to be given due care by the government of Sri Lanka. With regard to discussion on regional and international issues, yes, there was there were a few references to Sri Lanka's desire to be part of multilateral organizations. You are aware that Sri Lanka has previously expressed interest in becoming a member of BRICS, and you would also be aware that currently there are no new members being considered as by BRICS, in addition to the ones that were already on the anvil since last year. But as and when there is a consensus within BRICS to start looking at new members, we will certainly take into account the interest that has been expressed by Sri Lanka. This is something that was communicated by the Prime Minister to President Dissanayake. With regard to Siddhant, your question on the Ramayana, yes, it did definitely come up in the context of not just the civilizational relationship between the two countries, but also in terms of the tourism potential that exists. And this is something that is a big draw for Indian tourists. And therefore, there was a discussion on how we could promote the Ramayana trail in Sri Lanka and the Buddhism trail in India in order to mutually grow tourism in both directions. I think some of these questions related to the investment in the Colombo West terminal, as I understand, and the review of wind power projects, etc. There wasn't a detailed discussion on these issues. We understand that the government is looking at various economic cooperation projects, but insofar as the Colombo port issue is concerned, there was no reference to this from either side. As to your question on the multi-product pipeline, this is something that is being conceived of as a possible trilateral cooperation initiative between India, UAE, and Sri Lanka. It envisages the construction of an oil pipeline connecting India and Sri Lanka, with the involvement of the UAE in several ways, which could be financial, technical, material supply as well. We are currently at the stage where the drafts of possible agreements are being looked at between the three countries. And in the discussions today, it was agreed that representatives from the three countries could now get together at an early date to pursue this cooperation further and see how exactly to realize this on the ground.
Questions? Alok? Ashok, sorry.
सर अशोक, मेरे दो सवाल हैं. एक, प्रेसिडेंट के स्टेटमेंट में ये कहा गया है कि वो प्रधानमंत्री को इनवाइट कर रहे हैं. क्या किसी खास डेट या फिर ओकेशन के लिए इनविटेशन है, और क्या टूरिस्ट संबंधित और वीजा नियमों को लेकर किसी तरीके के कोई बदलाव की बात हुई है?
Reza from the Hindustan Times. Foreign Secretary, I was wondering if we could just get a sense of the Sri Lankan side's response to our raising the issue of Tamils and the holding of provincial council elections and ensuring the rights of the Tamil minority.
Suresh?
सर, मैं सचिन बुधोलिया हूँ यूएनआई से. मेरा सवाल ये है कि जब प्रेसिडेंट का स्टेटमेंट हो रहा था तो उन्होंने जो फिशरमैन वाला इशू है उस पर कुछ उन्होंने सजेशन दिया था कि कुछ बोट को और कुछ उस तरह का प्रयोग नहीं होना चाहिए. तो वो एक्चुअली क्या था और उस पर भारत का पक्ष क्या था?
Suhasini?
Foreign Secretary, this is Suhasini Heather from The Hindu. You spoke about the discussions over BRICS, and Mr. Dissanayake has said it in his own statement as well. I wanted to ask if India has discussed Sri Lanka's application to join the RCEP trading bloc. That application was put in earlier this year. How does India feel about Sri Lanka joining a regional trading bloc that India itself walked out of? And just a follow-up, you spoke about the importance of Mr. Dissanayake making India a priority by visiting India on his first trip, bilateral trip abroad. Does that mean that other leaders, particularly from Nepal and Maldives, who in the last year have not made India a first priority, is something India is concerned about?
अशोक, आपका सवाल जो निमंत्रण उन्होंने प्रधानमंत्री जी को दिया है, नहीं, ये एक तरह से इस तरह के जो विजिट्स होते हैं उसमें औपचारिक तौर पे इस तरह के जो निमंत्रण हैं उनका आदान प्रदान होता है, लेकिन ये कब संभव हो पाएगा, अगले साल ही होगा, लेकिन एग्जैक्टली कब संभव हो पाएगा ये देखना पड़ेगा. जैसे मैंने कहा, ये राजनयिक चैनल्स में इसके बारे में बातचीत होगी और जो म्यूचुअली कन्वीनियंट तारीख होगी उस पे फैसला होगा. और जो टूरिज्म और वीज़ा को लेके आपने पूछा चेंजेस वगैरह के बारे में, तो जैसा मैंने कहा, टूरिज्म के बारे में बातचीत हुई. भारत श्रीलंका के लिए पर्यटन का सबसे बड़ा स्रोत है और जो वहाँ पे सहूलियतें बढ़ाई जा सकती हैं जिनसे पर्यटन बढ़े, उसके बारे में बातचीत हुई. प्रधानमंत्री ने पहले ही, मैं कह चुका हूँ, इसका जिक्र भी किया कि यूपीआई के इंट्रोडक्शन के बाद भारतीय पर्यटकों के लिए वहाँ पे सहूलियत बढ़ी है, तो उससे आशा है कि भारत की ओर से टूरिज्म बढ़ेगा. जो वीज़ा रिलेटेड इश्यूज हैं उसमें भी बातचीत हुई कि किस तरह से इसको वीज़ा को लेके सहूलियत बढ़ाई जा सकती है दोनों डायरेक्शंस में. इसमें दोनों देश के जो अफसर हैं उसके बारे में बातचीत करेंगे और देखेंगे कि इसे आगे कैसे ले जाया जा सकता है. To Reza's question on the discussions related to the issue of the interests of the Tamil community in Sri Lanka, well, you're aware that this has been an issue in which on which we have long held discussions and exchanges with authorities in Sri Lanka. You would also have seen that President Dissanayake himself, during his election campaign and thereafter, has referred to his plans on this particular subject. He did, in fact, draw attention during the discussions today on several occasions to the mandate that he has received and the weight and significance and importance of that mandate. And I think you understand that he is essentially referring to the extent of that mandate, both the numerical weight of that mandate as well as the spatial distribution of that mandate, that he has received support from all corners of the country. And therefore, there is an expectation now from him to respond to those expectations. And part of that response is obviously going to be to respond to these aspirations that the people in the northern and eastern parts of the country have, from where he has received support as well. So I think we welcome the fact that he has referred to issues related to provincial councils, the elections for provincial councils, etc. These are important markers in terms of a solution or an approach to the ethnic issue that will eventually result in addressing these issues through justice, through peace, through equity, through dignity. And we very much hope to see that go forward, and we wish him success in this endeavor. Sachin, if I got you correctly on the fishermen issue, आपने बोट्स के बारे में कुछ पूछा कि उन्होंने, हाँ, तो मेरे विचार में उनका तात्पर्य इस चीज से था कि जो श्रीलंका का एक अप्रोच रहा है कि बॉटम ट्रॉलिंग का जो इस्तेमाल किया जाता है उसे न किया जाए, क्योंकि वो एक हानिकारक प्रैक्टिस है. तो मेरे विचार में वो कह रहे थे कि ये जो समस्या है फिशरमैन की, इसे दोनों देशों को मिलके सुलझाना इसे पड़ेगा. अभी हाल ही में दोनों देशों के बीच जो छठी बैठक हुई है जॉइंट वर्किंग ग्रुप ऑन फिशरीज की, उसमें भी इन चीज़ों को लेके बातचीत हुई है. और दोनों लीडर्स का आज ये मानना था कि ये एक आम नागरिक की समस्या है और इसे उसी तौर पे देखा जाए. दोनों लीडर्स ने ये बात मानी कि वो दोनों, उनका जो अपना बैकग्राउंड है वो एक ऐसा बैकग्राउंड है जो इन चीज़ों को और इन समस्याओं को अच्छी तरह से समझ सकता है, और इसी वजह से इन चीज़ों को, इन समस्याओं का हल निकालने में ये अप्रोच लिया जा सकता है कि एक ह्यूमैनिटेरियन अप्रोच हो, एक लाइवलीहुड बेस्ड अप्रोच हो. तो दोनों देश मिलके इस पे और आगे डिस्कशंस को और आगे चलाएंगे इसका हल निकालने के लिए. Suhasini, on BRICS, I have already mentioned that what the stance is insofar as India is concerned. Insofar as RCEP is concerned, I must admit I haven't seen any report related to Sri Lanka intending to join RCEP, but our stance on RCEP is well known. I don't have to repeat it here. Any trading bloc comes with its own features in multiple areas, not least in the area of rules of origin. We already have a free trade area with Sri Lanka, and we will have to then see what the impact on that particular free trade area will be. So at this point, I'll limit myself to saying that. Insofar as this thing of the Sri Lankan president coming here and thereby demonstrating the value that he attaches to the relationship, I don't think you can draw an equivalence between the decisions that one country takes and another country takes in the region. Very often visits such as these are dependent on a number of issues, mutual convenience, the particular context in which the visit can take place. I don't think we would want to go in that direction of making a comparative analysis of how much priority each country attaches to relationships with India purely by the order in which they visit in the neighborhood. I think these are all three of these are very, very important relationships. They stand on their own, and we have very, very intense engagements with all of these three countries. Thank you.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the closure of this press engagement. Thank you very much for your presence.